My full name?
Yes.
Georgina.
Okay.
What's your middle name?
My name is Bernadette Rose Moreau. I'm the grandma.
There you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 4 children, 13 grandchildren, and 18 great-grandchildren.
Isn't that amazing? Yes, that's right. Uh-huh.
What were the full names and birth dates of your parents and their places of birth?
Bernard Edward Roloff was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. My mother's name was Catherine Rose Slattery. She was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio.
Youngstown, Ohio. I didn't know that.
Yep.
What do you remember most about your mother?
Singing.
Singing?
Singing. She was always singing. She was I'm very grateful. I thank God for having a mother like her.
Mm-hmm.
And I always associated her singing with cooking.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of knew when I'd come home from school, if coming in the house I heard her singing, that meant she was cooking.
What do you remember most about your father?
That I used to sneak out of the back door and down the alley into the green bar. And when he was home, and I go in the back door of the green bar, and he'd always laugh, and there's my little girl, and he would give me a nickel to play the bowling machine.
That's a good memory. How many children were in your family, and what were the name of your siblings?
Well, there were 5 of us. Edna Mae was the oldest, firstborn. Anyway, her name was Edna Mae, and she was a singer.
Oh, wow.
And
This is where we get it.
she went into the USO, was all around, United Service Organization, during World War II. She came back and she stayed in New York. And anyway, she changed her name to Enid because Edna Mae sounded like she came from Kentucky.
Wow.
So there was no difference. Everybody still called her Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
anyway, that was that. And the second sibling was Paul James Roloff. Everybody called him Buddy.
Aww.
He was my big brother. And I don't talk easy about him now that I've got older.
Yeah.
But I was only 7 when he died, so I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he got blown up in over in Europe somewhere in Germany. And one of the guys in his unit or whatever went to school with maybe Enid and May, and he told my parents how he died. They were clearing out this town.
Wow.
And they were going all through. And when he turned the doorknob on this one house or building, whatever, it blew up.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, he was good. So anyway, and I can remember my mother, there were 2 men in uniform. And telling her that their son, they just didn't write, they wrote a missing in action thing. Then they showed up at your door.
Mm.
And she yelled at them to get out of her house. Anyway, I can remember my father putting his arm around her. And things were, I didn't know exactly what was going on. But I was too young.
Yeah.
This was all
You were only 7.
terrifying.
Yeah.
7. Buddy taught me how to ride a 2-wheel bike. He was a paperboy in high school. Big black bike. Stick my leg through underneath the bar and hang on up there and start pedaling.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
But and he got me to stop sucking my thumb by putting a cup of awful stuff, vinegar and pepper and all kind of whatever he could think of, and he put it inside the bottom cupboard. He says, "It's going to be right here. Every time you feel like sucking your thumb,
Oh
come
my
put your thumb in this."
Oh, yeah.
I'd be so mad. What a great
Anyway,
memory.
he was cool. I liked him a lot. He was always whistling too.
He was?
Yeah,
Did
whistling.
he sing or
He was a
no?
whistler. No, I always heard him whistling.
Okay.
My dad used to play the harmonica,
Okay.
and I think he whistled too.
We're a
Anyway,
whistling family.
It's a musical family.
It
Anyway, then Dorothy and Cassie were the next ones, and they were like 14 months apart,
Oh, okay.
and they were the two teenagers in the house.
Yeah.
And they did what teenagers did, and they babysat and stole each other's clothes to wear and all that stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that our house was kind of like the gathering space. My attitude of raising children was, it's much better to lay on the grass and watch ants build an anthill with your babies, your kids, than it is to dust your damn tables.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so
Anyway, my mother was like that. I got that from my mother.
true. Mhm.
But she would make a big pot of cocoa in a soup pot.
Uh-huh.
They'd come and play pinochle
Okay.
on our dining room floor, push the table over, and not just pinochle. Maybe it wasn't pinochle. I don't know what they were playing
sort of
because they were
party.
beyond me. But like Hannah,
Oh.
I was a Johnny come lately or a Bernie come lately. And I can remember when I was little, when she said, "I need you to," and then wait, what's going to happen? They're going to go to Colahan's, which was where you bought, like a soda shop,
Oh.
a drugstore, and a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Cool hand.
I guess Colahan's was the last name of the people that owned it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I wanted to hear whether or not they were willing to take me.
Oh my gosh.
They were allowed to be teenagers free of the house, but anyway,
What is the oldest memory that you have? Like,
I'll tell you,
Yes.
nobody believes me.
okay.
In the first little house we had when my father came to Detroit, it was Depression. When he came to Detroit for $5 a day at Ford's,
Mm-hmm.
and he found this little place on Wheelock, 1166 Wheelock. I'd like to go see these places.
Yeah, let's do it.
But anyway, if it's still standing, it was old
Maybe.
then. It didn't have a furnace. Right in the middle of the house was pot-bellied stove.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, and the kitchen stove, this is how old this house was. The kitchen stove was not gas.
Fire.
It was, you burned
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah.
Hmm. Anyway, I can remember walking around the table in the dining room, just barely seeing over it. So how old was I? We moved away from there when I was 3.
Oh, yeah. So you had to be.
And I remember looking at the kids. They came in the side door, and I looked. I could tell their shoes by the way they looked. Oh, these are Dorothy's shoes, you know. This,
Yeah.
I just knew, you know, because it looked like Dorothy's feet were in them. Anyway, that's my earliest memories.
That is
Another
very
one
early.
is Ida Mae, little girl, not next door, but the next one. She had blonde hair and curly hair, and I thought she was absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody could say my name, no kids, and she couldn't either.
Did you have a nickname at that age?
Bernadette or something. 3 syllables was a little hard.
Bernadette.
Bernadette. Aw.
Yeah.
Bernadette.
Yeah. Did you have a nickname?
Not then, not till I got in high school.
Okay. What was your nickname when you got in high school?
Bernie.
Bernie. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Ida Mae and I stole, my mother used to get cod liver oil pills, and they were like in a hanky box about this thick and about this square, full of all these things with all these beautiful little gems in there. And I stole them out, and Ida Mae and I went out behind the shed in the backyard and we were eating them.
Oh, gross.
That is so funny.
And I remember my mother calling the doctor, frantic. I was worried because my mother was frantic.
Yeah.
And
What did I do?
anyway, it turned out to be okay. But anyway,
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Eating them.
yeah, hey, they were beautiful.
Yeah. They probably taste good.
No, they didn't.
I'm just
They were clear gel, that golden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What historical events surprised, scared, or excited you?
It was during the war.
Yeah, the war.
Yeah.
That makes-
And we had blackouts
Oh.
where everybody had, all the shades were drawn and tight, and we couldn't have anything around the edges or anything. And they'd have the air raid. Oh, that means turn everything down. It was a warning.
Okay.
Maybe they spotted some ships close to our shore or whatever.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's
like
scary.
a test. It was like.
And when
That's
I
scary.
walk to school, this is something you guys don't know about. Everything is from a distance to
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah.
When I would walk to school past my neighbors' houses, they'd have flags hanging in the front room window. And it depended upon the color and the star, whether someone was missing in action,
Wow.
alive, or dead.
Oh.
And this is the facts of life.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's sad.
I know one good memory I had living on Solvay.
Okay.
The guy next door was Jewish, Solomon, and his daughter Lillian. We played with a little bit, but she was a couple years too old for us, you know. But anyway, he had a triple lot. His house, he had a garage, and then 2 lots empty. He was a farmer. And all across the back was fenced in with wire, whatever, wired, an old-fashioned fence anyway, chickens. And he killed a chicken every week
Oh my gosh.
for
Yeah.
Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
And we used to open up these, the old-fashioned fences weren't nice like now. They were nailed on 2x4s, and the nails would come loose, and they'd go like this,
Oh, to the side.
Well, we'd go like that. And Rich, he had the tomatoes right along.
Oh
with
my
it.
gosh.
the
Reach for the
tomatoes.
tomato. That's so
But
funny.
anyway,
Did he ever catch you?
I don't think he caught us, but I don't think he cared.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Anyway,
That's nice.
we moved to Ecorse, and it was kind of exciting to me because there was more fields and open spaces in Ecorse, and you could walk to the river and
Yeah.
cross. When you go through Detroit down Jefferson, you cross a river, a little bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in River Rouge. And you go a little further, and you're pretty soon you're in Ecorse.
Okay.
And you go a little further yet, and you're in Wyandotte.
Oh, okay.
It's all down Jefferson.
Okay.
I liked Ecorse. I loved living there. And we used to take our bikes, 3, 4, however many of us, and get permission. We'd pack a lunch, and we'd ride our bikes all the way down to through and into Wyandotte
Mm-hmm.
and into Elizabeth Park and eat our lunch.
Aw.
And we couldn't go swimming,
Oh.
but we could wade. And
Yeah.
anyway, we loved it. And we'd go over to that island down there south of, what is it? Groseal. And they had a wishing well. And we'd go there and throw whatever, nickel, pennies, whatever in it. And we'd take a sip because,
You're
it
supposed to
might
take a
work.
sip?
Yeah.
You take a sip?
The
Wow.
fountain of youth or the wish. will
Oh,
come
Yeah.
through.
I didn't know
And
that.
we'd pour some, throw some money in.
Yeah.
And
Take a sip.
that was a fun thing. We did a lot of bike riding. That's the bike riding age,
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
And
That's how you get places.
that's right.
Yeah,
Who
if
wants
you
to
don't
walk?
try.
You can ride your bike.
Yeah.
So
And,
when you needed to go places, did your mom ride a bike sometimes?
I don't ever remember seeing her on a bike.
She walked?
We walked
Nice.
down and caught the streetcar and went
Oh.
downtown.
Streetcar. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
streetcar all the way downtown. We shopped at Hudson's and
Nice.
Crowley's and
Wow. Fancy.
yeah. And if we were lucky, she would stop at Saunders before we came
There you
home
go.
Some
for a
nice-
hot fudge sundae or
nice.
something. Down Woodward, that was
Yeah.
the main drag, and that's where all the stores were. And
Yeah.
we had a Saks Fifth Avenue in Detroit.
You did?
Yes, Detroit was a toddling town.
Well, I hope it gets to that again.
All those buildings are gone. And then along came Gilbert and Illick, and they started building them back up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. And then Mother had to go where there was more money.
Yeah.
And so she went back up. She found this place. It was a mom and pop cafe type in Detroit. And it was a working man's restaurant.
Okay.
She was
In between-
slammed for breakfast
I remember
and she
you
was
telling me that.
slammed for lunch.
Do you remember where exactly that building
I know
was?
exactly. 9889.
Okay.
And
What is that?
if you go down Jefferson,
Oh.
I haven't been there for 50 years, but if you go down Jefferson, you'll come to a Peerless Cement. Anyway, there was all kinds of factories around, working man things. Not a big place, it wasn't. But
They would stop on their
that's
lunch
where I
breaks,
met
right?
my husband.
There we go. Hey,
There we go.
we're getting to that question. We got a couple more questions before that one.
Okay,
So, what did your family do for fun growing up? What do you remember?
picnics.
Picnics.
Picnic. Okay.
That's
Picnics.
awesome.
Mhm.
We did a lot of picnics too.
And movies.
Movies too.
Yeah, we'd go downtown to the movies.
Okay.
John, my son Eddie, oh, mother, you got to go to the Fox Theater. I says, I've been there.
I know. Fox Theater's nice too.
It's fabulous.
I
And
think.
Shows.
yeah, I think we had fun. And there was a lot of singing going on. This is what happened in the E-course. My mother's brought my grandpa's piano.
Mhm.
And this restaurant was divided in in half. This half had the counter and the
Drinks and stuff.
drink stuff and
Yeah.
the milkshake makers and the stuff. And over here were booths. And she put the piano back there.
Oh, there's a piano
Some
in the
kids-
cafe.
Some kids that didn't go to my school, but they were in high school,
Uh-huh.
let's make a band. They made a band. This is where they practiced.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's so
And they
fun.
had the piano. Ronnie Baxter was the piano player.
Oh, that's your first boyfriend.
No, it's not. He was not my boyfriend. But Dick Hammer was my first boyfriend. He played the horn. But
What is he?
but I got to know them when I was younger. Anyway, it was
Gotcha.
good.
What was the name of it? Do you remember?
Buddy Paul?
Buddy Paul.
After-
Aw, after
My
Paul.
brother's name.
That's beautiful.
And then we went down to Jefferson, and it was a real restaurant. Concern, and she said later, it broke her feet.
Oh,
She was wearing the same. Anyway,
yeah.
she says those were the best years of my life.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your favorite meal there? Was there a specific meal you're like, oh, she does a really good job at this?
One of her favorites,
I've got
hot
a lot
beef
of.
sandwich.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I've got a lot of favorites. Can you tell?
Mhm. But you haven't had a hot beef sandwich.
Her.
I should make a roast beef and make a hot.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yes. Yeah, I like that. That was always. She made 2 big roast beefs a week, Monday and Wednesday, and Friday was Fish Friday. And if there was some beef still, but usually wasn't. And we go slammed a breakfast and a long breakfast. People coming in buying coffee to go take back. 37 coffees.
Yeah.
And then lunch.
Mm.
And those were fast. They wanted
Yeah.
to eat fast.
Yeah.
My mother made wonderful chili. She made soup every day
Nice.
and chili every day.
Wow.
And she had a beef stew and this. She had 2 entrees a day. That's
Okay.
it. If you wanted a hot beef sandwich and she had it, You got it.
Yeah. Now
She
there's like
mashed
37
potatoes.
things on a menu. Like,
There was no, she didn't have a mixer.
yeah.
She had these big soup pots, cooked the potatoes, and she mashed that,
Yeah.
and they were good.
Yeah.
So your dad at this time, when he got out of the hospital, sorry, I'm trying to piece it together.
He was in and out.
He was in and out?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I didn't know.
In
So
and
where
out.
was he at this time?
In and out, in the hospital sometimes. And him, when he was home, he took care of the usual man stuff.
Okay.
Took care of the basement and the garage and the
Okay.
furnace and he did dishes.
Okay.
And he didn't like waiting on customers though, because sometimes he looked like he was going to knock them out if they didn't ask right.
Aw.
Do you
But
feel like
anyway-
he ever got better, like mentally?
Not really.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in and out. And then he got the Northville Hospital recommended to Mother that, they have a real nice old Navy's home down in Dayton, Ohio. And you ought to go check it out. You and Berna could drive, took the bus down together and see what you think. And Daddy liked it. And that's where he went. And Mother used to take the bus down to visit him. Yeah, it was hard on her.
Yeah.
You never know when you marry, for richer or for poor. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't work, we're going to stick together thick and thin.
Yes.
Anyway,
No D words in our household.
yeah.
No divorce.
But, yeah, my mother had a tough life, but
She seemed like
she's
she got
that
it.
one of her sayings was, "It's a great life if you don't weaken."
It's true.
It's true, too.
And
She was
seemed like
full of
she
those
kicked
little
butt.
sayings.
Yeah.
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 So what year did you meet Grandpa? Do you remember the year?
Yeah, in the restaurant, in
The cafe.
the cafe on Jefferson in Detroit, where she had real business. Your grandpa was the coffee boy. He was the new guy.
Really?
And the guy, I don't know what company he was working for. Barton and Mel, I don't know. But they sent him over to get coffee. And he went over to get coffee. And I said, whoa. But I was walking behind the counter and I saw him. When I looked back and then I looked back again and he was looking right back at me with those neon blue eyes.
Yeah.
And I was cool. Kept going. But Cassie my sister used to call him, Pinky's here.
Pinky.
He had a white sweatshirt that he washed with a red sweatshirt.
Oh my gosh.
Single guys living
Yeah.
On their own.
They're
and
not
on
no
their own.
laundry.
Yeah, that's what they do. They stuff it all in there. Anyway,
So what happened then?
one
How
day
about-
he
yeah.
asked me for a date. I said, "No, I don't go out with anybody that comes in the restaurant. Only guys I go to school with or neighborhood people." He says, "Well, what if I asked your parents?" I says, my mother right there. And so he went and asked her, and he had a whole speech. And I wish I had taped it. We didn't have tapes then.
Yeah.
But he said, I'm a Catholic boy. I went to all Catholic schools and this and that and this and my parents here, and I'm living with my Aunt Myrtle. And I do this and I have that, and I have my apprenticeship card. I'm almost done with it. And he says, I have this amount of dollars plus the cents. This, and plus the cents in the bank. I said, wow. It's not that much money, and he's telling her about it.
Wow, he's honest.
But anyway, she says, well, if she would like to go, it would be fine. And she says, I don't know, something about, first dates are usually, and he says, well, I'll take her to Chandler Park.
Aw.
And anyway,
Chandler
that's
Park.
what he did.
And would you have a picnic or something?
No, we just walked around and we went and visited his Aunt Myrtle. I was introduced and
That's nice.
I want to say we ate something, but I don't remember. And I know we did because that's not on this first date. We sat down. I don't remember where it was, but he said, he was looking at the menu and he says, well, order anything you want. I got 13 cents.
Oh. Wait, so what 13?
This is the way he was all my marriage.
Yeah.
Those little,
I got 13.
corny jokes.
Is that where my dad gets it from?
100%.
Yep, probably.
100%.
How long did you guys date before he proposed, and what was the proposal like?
Okay, it was at the end of the summer, and then he took me out for a nice dinner on my birthday. And we were dancing. And he stopped and he says, do you want to get engaged?
Aww.
It's not what you
I
imagined.
remember that moment. And I said, okay.
That's so sweet. Wait, so you didn't date for very long, right?
No, that was, like 6 months or so.
Okay.
And then we thought, well, we'll get married in the fall. And then we said, no, let's get married in the spring.
Now.
June 2nd. So we didn't know each other for a whole year when we were married.
Wow. Wait, so what was the year?
56.
56. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was your wedding day like?
Good. Sunny, bright,
Nice.
happy. It was a small wedding. And happy. My mother cooked. It was in Aunt Myrtle's basement.
Oh, really?
And a lot of people were there. Her basement was just a basement.
Yeah.
And we tiled the floor and painted the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Bernadette was, and it looked, so much different, nicer when you do that.
Yeah. So were you nervous?
No, it wasn't.
That's awesome.
But I remember standing at the altar, and I could hear my mother blowing her nose. She's crying. Here's a story for you.
Tell me.
I had gotten a job at American Motors on Plymouth Road. You keep going down Plymouth, you end up in Livonia. And I was staying with my sister Dorothy once I got the job at American Motors. On the morning of the wedding, Dorothy was going to take me. I had my dress and she made my veil and all the, stuff. And ready to go, and her kids start throwing up.
Oh, no.
They had stomach flu.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And Ronnie her husband was already gone to work. And she said, I'll get Ron, but she said, you're going to have to drive yourself.
Oh.
And that's what I did.
That's crazy.
My mother had stayed the night too, so she'd be, we'd go all together. But and we're on this 94 stopped at Russell Street. That was the end of 94. And when I got off and onto Russell Street to get over onto Gratiot or where, I forget what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I was pulled over by the cops.
Oh, no.
I said, oh my
In your
God.
wedding
On
dress?
your wedding day?
Yeah. And I said, he says, you're going some 10 miles over the speed limit. And I said, what? I wasn't going that fast. He says, the speed limit's 25 miles an hour. My mother leaned down. She says, officer, this is her wedding day. And he looked at her like, who in the hell are you? And he looked at me. And she says, look at the back seat. And there's my veil and my gloves and all my stuff. And he looked at us. He says, this really is your wedding date? He was already writing the ticket.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, it is. But at that time I was crying.
Aw.
And he says, well, here's your wedding present. And he tore it in half and gave it to me.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was nice.
What is your favorite memory about Grandpa? One of your top memories.
That you can first
Where's
think
your-
of.
Yeah.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
It depended upon what year it was. Sometimes, I wanted to hire somebody to grab him and drag him down a dark alley and give him,
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's
anyway.
not what we're asking.
He wanted to be a wonderful dancer,
Okay.
but he wasn't.
But you tried.
Anyway, I was happy. We were happy to be together.
Yeah.
This isn't a special memory, but it's a memory. I came home from work. This is the week before we got married. We had gotten this upper income apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped at, it was a Damon's, I don't know, but it was down near where our apartment was. And I got a dust mop and a broom and a dustpan and a can opener and all those little things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there, and John's sitting in the living room waiting. He's got all that stuff already.
Oh my gosh.
We both had it. So anyway,
That's so funny.
yeah,
Great minds think alike then, huh?
yeah.
No
On to
wedding.
the next question. The names and birth dates of your children.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anyway, and the birth date is Lorraine is November 9. Lorraine Louise, John Gilbert Jr. And then
Gilbert,
Edward
cute.
is my father's middle name. And Clinton is Grandpa Moreau's middle name.
Okay.
And then Francie, where's Francie? Renee? I don't know where Renee came from.
Yeah.
But Frances came from my Aunt Frances.
Yeah.
When she was little, whenever I introduced what's her name is Frances, but we all call her Francie.
Yeah.
Francie.
What were they like as babies and children?
Good babies. They slept early.
That's nice.
They nursed and slurpy, and then go back, and they're all red and sweaty. I love that.
Aw.
Anyway, and one thing about your grandpa, he loved his babies.
Mhm.
And starting with Lorraine, loved them all. But Lorraine, you know, is the whammer, the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he would wake up with her little fussing. He was an early riser anyway. And he would get her. He'd wake when I didn't wake. He'd
Yeah.
say, Bernie, he says, here's the baby. And he would bring a diaper. And because I had the bassinet right beside. And then when we put her in a regular bed, John would wake up and he'd go in and change the diaper and put on a new, what do you call needed be, the little sack,
Mm-hmm.
and bring her in to meet and wake me up. And he always put her on the inside over here. So he'd crawl back in bed and he'd get in and he'd lay down and his nose was right on top of her head and he'd breathe in and out her little hairs.
Aw.
But he'd
So
only stay
sweet.
there for, a couple minutes and then they had to get up and put on the shower and get to go to work.
Yeah. Aw, so
But that's
sweet.
a tender, good memory.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a good with babies.
they were good babies. They slept through the night early, all my kids.
Praise God.
Yeah, they were like 6-7 hours. When they were like
What the heck's
you know,
going on with
like
these babies?
before they were 2 months old or when they were 2 months old.
Wow.
Yeah, good. And I think all my kids sucked their thumb.
Oh, okay.
So that's a self-soother.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, and I never stopped them from sucking their thumbs.
Name something special about each of your children.
Oh, wow. They're all beautiful.
Just one at a time, like
One at a time. Lorraine's beautiful. Johnny's beautiful. Johnny took pictures. Have you ever seen you and Jonathan baby pictures?
Yeah.
You're stunning.
I know.
That's the way Johnny was. They were all smart. Lorraine was precocious. She wanted to leave town and see the world. She was going to discover things for, I'll see ya.
Yeah.
And she'd be gone. We got up John said, got me up. Bernie, come through and look at this. She's in the middle of the kitchen floor. And she got the milk out. The refrigerator door's open. She's got the milk out. And I don't know how she got the Cheerios, but she did. And they're there in the milk and she's eating them. The kitchen floor was her bowl. And this was like around 4 in the morning.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
How old was she? Do you know?
Oh, it was before Johnny was born.
Okay.
So she was a year.
Wow.
Whatever.
That's so cute.
And you know about the wires in the backyard, right?
No.
Well, you know how they often have telephone poles with
Yeah.
wires along the back between the yards. She was up there. I was in the backyard talking to my next door neighbor over the fence. And Dolores says, oh my God, I said, what's wrong? And I was looking up. She said, Lorraine, your daughter. And I looked up. She's hanging.
Yeah.
And Johnny was a quiet, nice boy. And he fell asleep easy.
Yeah.
I remember once I was mad and sad, and I was pregnant with Eddie almost to the end, any minute
Yeah.
to give birth. But and something happened on the kitchen floor, and I was cleaning it up, and I'm crying. And Johnny came over. He said, "Do you have a headache, Mommy?"
Aww.
And he touched my head. And whenever I woke him up in his bedroom, and he would sleep so long, I'd be afraid I'd go hurrying down when he was little. I said, my baby, he's awake?
Yeah.
Is he breathing?
Yeah.
And I said, and he'd be laying there and say, "Hi, Johnny." And he'd lift his head up like Theo
Yeah.
and smile. He
Oh,
always woke up smiling.
that's awesome.
Eddie was a little fat lover
Okay.
who didn't like food. He liked milk only. He was a milk baby.
Wow. Okay.
And even as he got older, things that he didn't like, he called meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
We're having meatloaf again.
That's funny.
But Eddie was, he was good. He liked to hang around me. And
Was he snuggly?
snuggly, very snuggly.
Okay.
Yeah. I've often thought I should ask Esther, is he a very snuggly husband? And Francie was the little girl who was always cute when she was in her little jumpy chair. If somebody came over and looked at her pretty eyes, she'd start going,
Oh. Batting eyes.
and but she used to whistle. She used to bounce in the bouncy, the Johnny jump up. I can't whistle anymore. Boo doo 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 doo
Yeah.
doo.
Wow.
Yeah. And Francie was always happy to do anything, anytime, anywhere, and steal money and go to Rennie's and buy candy. She was the biggest candy face, her and Lori.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But all my kids knew how to have fun.
Yeah. What do you admire about your children now as adults? Like what do you like about each one of them? Like what stands out to you about each
They're
one of them?
open.
Yeah.
I like all my kids. They're fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
fun to be around. They're fun to listen to.
Funny.
They're not deadheads.
No. They're all very smart.
And none of them have ever been too cool.
Yeah.
They're always, you can roll on the ground laughing with them.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
What are some activities you enjoy doing as an adult?
I loved bowling, and I was good at it. That's probably why I loved it. I really liked golfing too. I wasn't very good at it, but I liked it anyway.
Yeah.
And I loved dancing. I loved the water. I was never a swimmer like Eddie and Francie, but I felt like I was,
Yeah.
I felt like I could go across that lake easy doing the Australian crawl. But anyway, and I loved walking in the woods.
Yeah. And crossword puzzles.
And I loved,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sudoku. You like Sudoku too.
That's one of the things I was proud of Danielle, my first grandchild. I told her about it too. She came here to visit and flew back, and her plane for some reason couldn't land in Vegas. So they took them to San Diego and put them up for the night. And they were going to catch the plane at noon. It's just a little hop into Vegas. Well, she went down to the desk and said, "How do you get to the ocean?" And they told her. And she took 2 buses. Anyway, she got to the ocean and went in the ocean. It was like,
By herself?
by herself.
How old is she?
16.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
She's independent.
I kind of had that feeling, but not as strong as her.
Yeah.
Mhm. I wasn't always that good. I know one of my highlights of my life.
Okay.
When this was just me.
Okay.
When the kids were little, but all in grade school, young yet rather, I went to Ferndale High School, offered an adult education thing. It was a 6-week course. You went and took aptitudes.
Okay.
And what's the one this is the aptitude and this is the ability to. You took both of them. And the last week, maybe the 6th week, you had a one-on-one with a teacher. Well, I had a one-on-one. The teacher said, he says, I don't believe in, there's no such thing as a mental block. He says, but you have one. I had, in math ability, I was 5 percentile.
Okay.
95% of the people that ever took that test did better than me.
Huh.
But my mechanical ability, 99.
There you
Wow.
go.
He says, this does not match.
Yeah.
And this does not match. I had abstract reasoning, was 97. And anyway, he started going through, he says, today, right now, without you doing a thing, he said, you could get into one of the better colleges and they would help you. They'd assist you with anything you need to get you on your way.
Wow.
And I was like quivering inside. I always thought I was a dummy.
Aw.
Anyway, I got out my car and I made sure all the windows were shut and I screamed.
Aw.
And I didn't go home because I know who wants to hear this, my mother. So I went to see my mother.
Aw.
And that was a highlight moment. Like,
Yeah.
wow, you're not a dummy.
Yeah. You're
Anyway,
smart.
It's got to be
That's
hard
beautiful.
too to think like you felt like that for your whole life until you found that
well,
out.
everybody
really.
does.
Yeah.
Everybody feels dummy-ish.
Yeah.
And even people that went to college feel dummy-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got so much I could teach you.
Teach me. Teach me.
I'm teasing you, honey.
I'm open.
It's nice to be told by someone with a badge that you're not a dummy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
It didn't put any money in the bank, and it didn't,
But it filled you. It filled your.
Yes, it did.
Brought some positivity.
Uh-huh.
What
Maybe that's when I stopped getting sick.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I never thought of that before.
You asked what is your favorite picture?
Picture? You like a movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I got a lot of them. Some of them you wouldn't like either.
It's okay. It's where you live.
I love
Yeah, it's
it.
about you and not. No.
I know. One is Sling Blade.
Sling Blade.
Have you ever seen it?
Nope.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it, so I'll have to see
This
it.
is a heavy-duty
Sling
movie. And there's heavy-duty actors in it.
Okay.
And what's his name? Thornton, Billy Bob Thornton, plays the lead role. And his father is, it's a heavy-duty movie. And the third time you see it, you think, my God, this is a religious movie.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It's
Sometimes
like,
you do
it's
miss-
backwards, it's upside down, but it's like, this is the kind of, if you were in deepest, darkest Africa, that would be their religious. But anyway, there's all kinds of movies that are fabulous.
What about the classics? I don't know.
Probably Shawshank. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shawshank's a good one.
Yeah.
I love that one.
That is a really good one.
It was a Johnny Come Lately. My sister was a nurse. My whole family. My mother should have been a nurse. And I tell you, who else should have been one was your grandpa.
Yeah.
He had a natural way about him. Feeling he could sense what was needed.
Okay.
He could have been a doctor. I liked being a nurse. I wasn't a nurse very long, but I liked it.
What is something you're very proud of that no one knows that you did?
Hey, I know one thing, and I want everybody to know it, and I want everybody to do
All
it.
right. It's on record now. So.
Okay, I want everybody to do it.
All right.
When you see an injustice,
Okay.
speak up.
Okay.
Speak up. One time I'm thinking of is in Village Market. The woman ahead of me in line was older than me, white hair, and this gal that worked there, she didn't work there very long. She was just talking faster and pushing. Without reaching over there and pushing her, she was pushing her. And I wanted to say something, but I knew I just addled that old lady worse than she already was. And as soon as she was gone and out the door, I let that gal have it. And she said, don't judge me. I said, I'm not judging you. I'm asking you to be a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you had her shaking in her boots. That's, I hope you don't have to face that when in your old age.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I have said that I've spoke up. My sister Dorothy called it ageism. Old people.
Yeah.
They start talking louder. But there's often little things. People that are cruel to their children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a hard one.
that's a hard one. I say it anyway.
Yeah.
It's none of my business. I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Don't do it in public then.
Yeah. People can see.
That's right.
Yeah.
This public is going to say something about it.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't want anyone to say
Can't
anything.
expect.
I have a question from Alex.
Yeah.
What?
He wants to know. He told me to ask you, have you ever murdered someone and not told anybody? And now is your chance.
Yes. And he's number 2.
He's number 2. I'm just kidding. He's like, you should ask me that. I'm like, you're so stupid. I'm just kidding. On to the next.
So no.
So that is a no. On the record, no.
How do you adapt to challenging situations?
I don't shrink. This is a story your grandpa told. It's become one of my mottos. But they all had, the workers in the plant had like a tool room. And that's where they hung their coats and kept their lunches and whatever. And the riggers or the contractors, they had room and they set up their own gang box area. He says they were over there and figuring out what we're taking down to where we're going to work. And they're yelling at this little old guy who keeps things, a sweeper, keeps things neat. And he says, did you drink my milk? And did you drink? And I'm going, you're not going to really, whatever. And the little old guy says, well, that may be true, but I'll go down kicking and scratching.
Kicking and scratching.
That's what I say. I'll go down kicking and scratching.
Exactly. That's so funny.
You're going to run into shortfalls. As long as you're alive, you run the risk of being stupid.
Mm-hmm. And having regrets.
Mm-mm.
What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self,
Yeah.
you're getting married. There's so much when you're 20 years old that you have to learn.
Yeah.
When you're walking down the aisle and walking into marriage with this guy that has the blue eyes,
Yeah.
there's so much you don't know.
Yeah.
And
You might not have listened.
but it would be nice to know anyway.
That's
A
true.
lot of the stuff you teach Theo,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to roll right off and you're going to know it.
Yeah.
But
One day.
when he's 27
Yeah.
or 19 or whatever,
Sorry, what did becoming a grandparent feel like?
it was okay. It was not overwhelming.
Okay.
Lorraine kept wanting me to feel her belly and feel the movement. I said, yeah, I had the same thing. And when Danielle was born, she didn't look anything like my kids. She looked like a seal.
Yeah.
She had the brown hair and she looked like Danny. And but she was a nice baby. She was fluffy and she was nice. But along about the 3rd or 4th day Lorraine was home, I went head over heels in love with her.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from other grandparents, that first grandchild.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a kick in the head.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the best thing about being a grand and great grandparent?
Oh, snap.
You have great grand and great kids.
So true.
Mhm. I like everybody.
Yeah.
I look at, that song of when I'm not near the one I love the one I'm near.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you most thankful for?
Oh, my family, everything, I guess.
Yeah.
I have thanked God a lot since Grandpa died.
Mhm.
I had a good life.
Yeah.
I had some crummy stuff, but everybody, you gotta,
Mhm.
stub your toes, and
Yeah.
that's okay. Another highlight: riding bikes with my kids.
Mhm.
And I remember Johnny had a banana bike with that long, skinny bike.
Mhm.
And we were driving, we turned down, I don't know whose bike he was riding, but we turned down, is it Elba?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right
Mhm.
past the school.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pop a wheelie.
Oh
I
my
went
God.
over, everything was skinned. My
Aw.
elbows, not my face, thank God.
Yeah.
My
Oh
knees.
my gosh.
Yeah.
But you can say you did it.
I didn't pop a wheelie. I popped myself.
You
Yeah.
popped your.
You
Yeah.
tried it at least.
Yeah, I
You can
tried
say
it.
you tried it.
I thought
never
it would be
tried.
easy. No problem. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I didn't even try that.
What would you like your whole family to know, and what values would you like to pass down to the younger generations of your family?
Mhm. You said one of them.
Huh?
You said one of them already. That stick up for injustices.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
I want them to stand tall
Okay.
and don't be afraid. You don't have to go out looking for fights, but at the same time, you should don't be afraid to speak out.
Yeah.
And when you see a wrong, write it. If you can't, you can't.
Mhm.
You know usually right off the bat whether you can or can't. And stand tall. That's what I say. I think all my kids are like that.
Okay, and then the last question. What would you like your legacy to be?
My
What do
legacy.
you want to be remembered?
Okay, I would love it if I would win the lottery
Yeah.
and make all my children and grandchildren rich.
Yeah.
Don't you like that?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Can we
Yeah.
work?
I think we definitely have strong personalities and strong women in our family.
Yeah.
I do too.
Unlike
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are also resilient. So I would say
Yes.
strong and resilient is part of
a legacy.
part of you that you instilled into your
We're like
children.
rock 'em, sock 'em.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right back up.
That
Yeah.
is so true.
Yeah.
Your sense of
And we
yourself.
marry the right kind of men.
Yeah,
That
it's
is true.
the opposites. And
Mhm.
Yeah, but they're not criminals.
no,
That's
we don't want to
good.
marry
Yeah.
That's good. Yes, it's good.
Good job.
Uh-huh. John, I thought he was the tough, strong leader, and I'd learned a lot from him. He learned a lot from me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And nobody on this earth, I don't care who he is or where he came from, nobody's perfect.
That's right.
And God said, when he's saying goodbye, he says, love one another.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering questions and
Yeah,
stopping
thank
this.
you very
Love
much.
you, Grandma. Say, I love you.
I love you.
Aw.